Welcome to Dungeons & Dragons. It's where the settings are made up and the rules don't matter. We're hard at work on getting the Rule 3 out right now, but since we passed the milestone of getting 123 subscribers, literal 1, 2, 3, I want to throw you guys a bonus while you're waiting. So here's an example of how to use a Rule of 2 in order to make a quick and dirty NPC for your character's next game. It seems both memorable and deep without a lot of work. So with that, let's get to Mr. Need. So we're going to create this merchant who wants to hire the players or something. He's got a job. And for that, we're going to create some details so he stands out in the players' minds. So we're calling him Mr. Need because he's the head of the Baker's Guild. We want his name to be something that's related to baking or dough or that kind of thing. So pulling out a thesaurus, Need was in there, and that's what we're going with. So first let's make Mr. Need nice and memorable. Mr. Need is a jovial, happy little man. He has twinkling eyes and an easy smile. He loves everyone. Everyone loves him. He could best be described as Santa Claus, but real thin. This little, cheery little gnome-like man is the first to offer assistance to anyone who needs it. He's the first one there with loaves of bread when someone's hungry, or a sweet roll to please the children while they're shopping with their parents in the market. Mr. Need personally bakes the cake for every wedding that comes to town, and is the most beloved baker that you will probably ever find. As I said, he's basically Santa Claus, except he bakes rather than making toys. And that's our Rule of 1 for Mr. Need. A jovial, friendly little man who gives away baked goods the way Santa Claus gives away toys. And now let's make our Rule 2 in order to make Mr. Need much more interesting and much more deep. Mr. Need, ruthless businessman. Mr. Need, as the head of the Baker's Guild, also has a dark side. He is absolutely ruthless in protecting the guild. Every roll, bread, and cake that's baked by the guild must come up to a basic standard. No one undersells, no one oversells. No one cuts into the guild or the guild's members' pockets. No one damages the guild's reputation by making small cakes. And no one undersells his competition by cutting his prices. There's a basic standard, everyone has to follow it, or else face the wrath of Need's dough punchers. But that's just the bakers. People who interfere with the Baker's Guild face a far worse situation. Someone daring to sell baked goods in the area, like the group of Theridian merchants who came through a few weeks ago carrying cakes, would easily find their wagons turned over and their horses driven off. Old man Lucas, who dared try to build a public oven, not only for himself but for others to bake bread, found that oven reduced to stones the next morning. And Lord Vogue? Everyone knows the tale of Lord Vogue, who last year attempted to corner the grain market, driving up the price of wheat until the common man could not afford bread. Well, Mr. Need was there, protect the people and the guild, personally taking up a collection to hire mercenaries to deal with Lord Vogue and the blockade. But instead, Mr. Need went a step farther, giving his own personal touch to the situation, ordering the mercenaries to make sure that any miller who had gone along with Lord Vogue's plan to be placed under their own grindstones and hammered into the ground. Any baker who actually went against the guild's wishes on this, to be sealed in their own ovens, suffocated, or burned alive. Mr. Need is the face of the Baker's Guild. He is friendly and he's jovial, and he'll be the first one there to deliver the first bag of flour to a new member of the guild, and he'll make sure that the bag of flour is paid for, and the bread is exactly the right size and shape. No one crosses the guild, and no one crosses Mr. Need. And that's our first version of Mr. Need. Mr. Need, jovial little man and ruthless businessman. So let's get to our next version. Mr. Need, secret cultist. No one knows when Mr. Need's family first arrived in the town, but it's said that they've been here since before the town was founded. There are lots of curious questions of Mr. Need. Everyone loves him, but they can't help overlooking the odd rituals they often see him performing at night, pouring chicken's blood out on stacks of grain, or his curious habit of locking pigs inside his ovens at night. The strange sculpture of a woman holding grain that he keeps as a lucky charm, so he says, has begun to be seen elsewhere in town, bringing up in the other members of the Baker's Guild. These various bakers get together at night to sing songs and perform rituals out by the ovens. So far, nothing truly dangerous has happened, nothing truly strange other than odd rituals at night, blessings given to names that no one can hear, and sacrificial loaves made in the shape of eyes every August afternoon. Everyone loves Mr. Need. They are a bit curious about him, but they're pretty sure he's okay. Although many wonder what happens to the to the journeyman bakers, the ones who don't quite make it up to snuff to actually join the guild, who spend all that time to become bakers themselves, but after failing their tests, apparently sent away, never to be heard from again. Do those bakers actually go somewhere? Or is there something else baking in Mr. Need's ovens? And that's dark. But, in order to go contradictory to Mr. Need being a pleasant old fellow, we don't have to basically go dark. There's a lot of ways you can go opposing of something. Let's take Mr. Need, ex-soldier. No one knows when Mr. Need originally got to town, though it's said that this kindly old baker arrived sometime after the Great War. Working as a dough puncher for his friend Velis, Need quickly rose through the ranks of bakers nearby and became one of the local favorites. Now kindly and old, he is well liked and well loved locally, but there are times Mr. Need takes on a distant look in his eyes. Recently there's been an encounter. A group of ruffians made the mistake of attempting to not only rob Mr. Need but hurt his patrons in order to basically increase their wares. Instead, by the time local guard arrived, 3 of them were lay bloody on the ground. Mr. Need was busy choking the third one out with his rolling pin when they carried him away. Since then, bounty hunters and mercenaries have been arriving in town, asking about Mr. Need, asking if they know when he arrived, asking is he the Butcher of Provence, great general who slew a dragon and turned an army around, only to drop his sword afterwards and walk away. No one knows. Mr. Need, though, has been calling you in. He needs a favor. He wants to ask you something. Alright, so there you got some examples. Mr. Need, violent, ruthless businessman. Mr. Need, deadly cultist. Mr. Need, retired soldier. Now, technically all 3 could be true at the same time if you wanted to be. Or just choose one and you still have a hell of an NPC. You start off with the kindly old man who bakes bread. So my question to you, what Mr. Need would you create? Mr. Need, the Cardinal Lord? Mr. Need, a doppelganger infiltrator? Mr. Need, spy from a foreign land? Mr. Need, would-be wizard? Mr. Need, the last son of the fallen Baron? All these are possibilities, all things you could easily create. So, in the comments, go ahead and let me know what your Mr. Need looks like. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys all for getting us up to 123. That was really surprising how quickly that happened. So far, everyone's been here. It's been really cool, and we really appreciate it. In the meantime, we'll get back to getting the Rule 3 out for you guys. Good luck and happy gaming.